We're here for another episode of the Big Show podcast here at GamesBeat Next 2025. I'm with Rob Dyer, the Chief Operating Officer of Capcom. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it.
Capcom has had a huge run of critically acclaimed titles over the last decade. What separates the culture at Capcom from other companies that has empowered you to have this success?
So, predates me joining. I've been there 7 years. One of the things that Capcom did 8 years ago was they really reinvented themselves in the sense of being very focused on games being developed in Japan. Nothing outside, nothing with third parties. It is all done internally. And that control has enabled Capcom to make sure that the quality is there. And they don't have things that are happening away from the creative minds that are actually thinking about where the Res Evil story should go or what should be happening with Monster Hunter. So that to me is what has set Capcom apart from other Japanese developers and publishers.
And I think that is such a fortunate bet for the company to have taken 10 years ago. I mean, we look at in 2025, Japanese IP and honestly Asian IP in general, whether it's Japanese, Chinese, or Korean, is huge. And we're seeing that invade gaming as well. So glad to see that it paid off.
Yeah, no question.
When we look ahead to the future, what do you see as the big potential growth areas for gaming moving forward in the next year or 5 years?
Sure. So not speaking about Capcom, but in general, I see user-generated content, no great secret there. And for a number of reasons. So just to spend a little bit of time on that, I think being able to get cheaper content that you can make that's responsible to the title, that the main publisher can actually embrace is a big piece. And I think that that's going to continue to be a big growth area. Game developers don't have all the great ideas. There's a lot of very smart people out there that are hardcore fans that love that their game and they want to do something. And I love that.
Awesome.
And I would say one of the things that we don't do a lot of at Capcom is that we're very very precious about managing the story, managing the narrative, particularly given that we do a lot of single player games that are story driven. We want to be able to make sure that it follows our narrative. But I don't want that to sound like we're wrong. I think we've had great success clearly in what we do, but I also think UGC has a place and it's absolutely having its day. And we're seeing it with companies like Overwolf, Mod.io. There's some really good companies out there that are making this happen.
Do you see UGC as an opportunity to sort of keep interest alive in a tentpole series or, franchise or title between main releases?
Couldn't have said it better, Alex. I think, look, we don't have the ability to fill up the gap when people finish a game.
Yeah.
And so you're going to need to have this never-ending supply. And again, this isn't mobile gaming where it's cheaper to develop. If you're doing console PC, it's a very expensive development process. So I wholeheartely agree with what you said. Couldn't have said it better.
Awesome. It's interesting. I mean, we're starting to see, and maybe this is getting into, if I'm barking up the wrong tree with this, please just let me know. But we're starting to see IPs open up a license, or companies open up a license to their IP to creators inside platforms like Fortnite and Roblox. For example, K-pop Demon Hunters is now licensed to Fortnite, so creators can use that IP to build experiences. Is that a potential growth area for game publishers and game IPs as well?
Look, I think that there are licensing opportunities. Do I think you're going to have a $100 million, a new game size upside off of that? No.
Yeah.
Do I think that there is licensing opportunities from it? Yes.
So we've talked about UGC. That's one of the really big sort of macro trends or buzzwords that's been thrown around in this room that we're sitting in. The other one is AI.
Yep.
I've had so many conversations about AI, and I've listened to even more over the last couple of days. I guess my top level question to you is, do you think that that's merited? Do you think it's right that we're having that AI is soaking up so much of the attention at this conference?
I do, and let me tell you why. So I spoke about it earlier in one of the sessions I was in, but if you look back at the past 4 years of what were some of the big buzz topics or buzz events, we had VR AR 4 years ago. We had metaverse 3 years ago. We had crypto blockchain a couple years ago. And even Dean was talking about how many sessions that were happening here at GamesBeat with regards to these topics. Huge, very serious in the moment things. If you went to GDC, you had all these people speaking about it. The reality is not a big deal right now.
Right.
Do I think they're still happening? Sure, but it's not nearly what we were making it out to be. If I look at AI, what I'm seeing is it's very different than those buzzy events that were happening then. I think the way AI is being implemented and integrated is a reality. I'm seeing it happening not only inside of Capcom, with a number of other companies. I'm talking to very smart game developers and how they've integrated AI in their game development strategy. So there's a very famous head of a studio. I said, look, man, what are you doing with AI? And he said, look, ChatGPT is my cube mate. I will talk to them and say, hey, what do you think so-and-so should be doing in this next quest? And ChatGPT will come back to me with 2 or 3 ideas that I didn't have with regards to what should happen in the progression of this story. You're going to see so much more of that, and in character development, in what happens with regards to driving a story. You're already getting that with NPC development, stuff that, look, as a game developer, we can't spend that kind of money. If I can have AI drive those types of things, I think you're going to get a more rounded, a deeper experience, a better fleshed out story than what you would have gotten normally.
Love that. Yeah. And I'm really excited to see how AI can be applied even in sort of those subtle or back end processes. Things like QA and testing.
Yep.
Is Capcom starting to explore those sort of back end uses of AI already?
Absolutely. Well, in a lot of things, like not only internally, but with our external partners. So everybody was worried about the demise of the keywords of the world or the Testronics. And no, I mean, what they've done is they figured out how to incorporate AI into what they're doing and make it even better at a cheaper price and get things done quicker. So I believe that AI is one of those things that warrants the attention. I think we're just scratching the surface. And again, something I riffed on earlier, I'm waiting for that aha moment when Unity or Epic, Microsoft, Google come out with this off-the-shelf ability to make games faster, better, that all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to bring this into my development cycle.
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden, I then see how the cycle gets shorter or it gets cheaper to make the game, something of that nature. And everybody's going to say, okay, great, I get it now. So this is not going to go away. We're going to have multiple conversations about it. And it absolutely warrants the attention we're going to get here. We're going to have a GDC in March. You're going to have next year when we're sitting here, everybody's going to talk about more real world applications of AI.
That's exciting, honestly. Yeah. You gotten me excited about the future of conferences.
Good.
So moving back to Capcom, we talked about the really successful franchises that you've already built. Obviously, Capcom is still innovating, still looking to create new IP ecosystems. How do you balance the investment that you put into developing pre-existing popular titles and worlds versus these new ones?
Great question. It's a hard balance, especially with a company like Capcom that has, I can't even begin to tell you the number of people who come up to me here and said, have you thought about doing a Power Stone remake, or when are we getting the next pick a title that we haven't done in a while versus a brand new IP.
Right.
So we have a brand new IP coming out later in calendar 26 called Pragmata.
Okay.
So it's exciting. We're fired up about it. We've shown a lot of, but it's been 5 years in the making, and so we've spent a very hefty sum, and we'll spend a hefty sum against it, marketing it because it's a brand new IP. you're like, okay, so how do you balance that against making one of these other older, like we're doing with Okami right now, or what we're doing with Onimusha? You want to keep your developers excited about coming into the office and finding that what am I going to do that's not going to be a remake and continuing on the same story? And that's why we want to make sure that we're giving people that fresh opportunity, not in making games, but what people can look forward to playing from Capcom. So we will have 2 or 3, 4 or 5 new IP per cycle that will, again, hopefully surprise and delight and get people excited about, okay, what else is Capcom doing?
Awesome. I can't wait to see. So let's wrap up this episode with a few kind of fun big show questions.
Sure.
No pressure in any of these. Obviously, you've been in game dev for quite some time, and you have a hand in a lot of very impressive titles. Of the games that you have not worked on, which one would you pick to, put in your portfolio if you could?
Grand Theft Auto. I'm a huge fan of Sam Houser and Dan Houser. I think what they've done is brilliant. I've actually worked with Sam way back when he first started at BMG. I would have loved to have been part of that whole early days and when they were building a 3D world that turned into Grand Theft Auto.
Are you going to be playing GTA 6 when it comes out?
Absolutely.
Awesome. And I guess that kind of brings me to the last question I wanted to ask, which was, what formats or genres do you think Capcom could push into more moving forward? Will we see Capcom Theft Auto in the future?
No, look, I think the things that I would like to see, and this is just Rob Dyer speaking,
Yes.
is more multiplayer. I would love to see a multiplayer Resident Evil, something that has, rather than a linear one P story-driven game, have a universe. That to me would be very exciting. I would love to see us get into a Roblox world and to be able to do something for introduce a younger generation into Street Fighter or Mega Man or any number of our other not M-rated titles that we could do. But that to me would be really exciting, and I'd love to see Capcom take more of a role there.
Listen, I would love to see that too. Genuinely, anything I can do. I have a lot of people in the Roblox space, and if you're ever looking to meet developers or just learn, I would love to.
Might take you up on that.
Awesome.
Take you up on that.
Well, before I go too crazy with the introductions, I'll end us here. Thank you again for taking the time.
Thank
Rob.
you, Alex. Really appreciate it. It was great. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome.